Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Star Trek Online Preservation Project Overview Edition. This is Episode 3, Diplomatic Orders. Ah, diplomatic orders, how I hate thee. Let me count the ways. Yes, this is going to be one of those episodes where I parody people like the Angry Video Game Nerd, the Nostalgia Critic, the Mysterious Mr. Enter. Wait, you haven't heard of those people? Who are you? We start off again with Admiral Quinn. Ah, good old Admiral Quinn. You can never go wrong with him because he's human and not a Vulcan. He tells you that there is a Vulcan ambassador who is requesting to go to B'Jem for some odd reason. It's not terribly explained. But with the Klingons and the Orions wanting to pillage everything, you are asked to escort him to B'Jem. So you arrive in the system, and the Vulcan ambassador, big surprise, needs some very specific arrangements when it comes to how he travels. Namely, he doesn't like to have his molecules scrambled by transporters and then reassembled back on board the ship. So you are asked to take a shuttlecraft down to the surface. While taking the shuttle down, you notice something very odd about it. Look at its flight path. It looks like a drunken Klingon has gotten behind the wheel and is flying you towards the surface. After you climb the steps, Jim. Climb the steps towards Mount Salea. No, not climb the steps. After you climb the path laid out before you, you finally meet the ambassador. His name is Soketh. You ask him what his business is, trying to go over to B'Jem, but in usual Vulcan mannerism, he pretty much says, "My business is my own." But he has a little bit of a tone with it. Here, take a listen.
This is ridiculous. Access to B'Jem is strictly limited to preserve the sanctity of the monastery. No outsiders are permitted to land without the expressed permission of Savin.
See, you hear that tone in his voice? Doesn't exactly sound Vulcan to me, even though I find Vulcans themselves to be annoying. Anyways, you go and talk to the abbot, I believe he is. His name is Savin. You pretty much ask Savin, please, for the love of Katar, can he please go visit B'Jem? And Savin is all, well, I guess so. I mean, after all, you are Starfleet officers, and I trust Starfleet officers, even though emotion is not part of the Vulcan way. Okay, I need to let up on the put-downs on Vulcans. So anyway, after flying the shuttle off the surface of Vulcan, you talk with the ambassador, and he says he needs to meditate until they get to B'Jem. So you prepare for an otherwise uneventful day. You hit B'Jem, and then things start going haywire. You pick up some sort of energy signature just as you enter the system, and as soon as you scan it, surprise, a whole bunch of Klingons. But they aren't as aggressive as you think they would be. They pretty much tell you, you have a foul shapeshifter aboard your ship. Surrender him now and we may spare your crew. You ask the Klingons, do you have any proof of these accusations? And the Klingons simply spout, you doubt my honor? You honorless dog, you! And they proceed to fire at you, which you fire back, and you destroy them as easily as tinfoil. You beam to the surface, just to be confronted with an entire brigade of Klingons awaiting you. As you continue to fight your way up the mountain to the sanctuary of B'Jem, Starfleet hails you and says that they have found the body of Ambassador Soketh. Apparently, he had been killed by a close-range phaser rifle, and that his body was stuffed into a cryogenic freezer of some sort beneath the quarters of his house. Immediately after hearing this, you find out that the imposter has accessed the transporter and beamed down to the surface. He ends up beaming down directly at your position and spouts a little bit of, well, just listen.
Such emotion on your face. I see now my deception has been exposed. Pity. Capturing the abbot so we could replace him as well would have been beneficial. But we are strong. We will prevail. You are weak, and the weak shall perish.
What?
What?
The hell? Yes, the imposter is actually a shapeshifted Undine? Undine? Species 8472. So you fight off the Species 8472 briefly, just to have him shapeshift into a Klingon general. Or is he a Dahar master? I'm not entirely sure. He tricks the rest of the Klingon warriors into thinking that you are the foul shapeshifter that they were after in the first place. You end up chasing him down the mountain and losing him in the firefight. After quickly scanning for him, you find a residual transport signature to a cloaked ship in orbit, so you beam back to your ship and find a giant Species 8472 dreadnought waiting for you. This ship, on the other hand, has a lot more firepower, so you're constantly fighting for your life, shooting down torpedoes, and waiting for Starfleet to send in reinforcements. As soon as they arrive, you manage to destroy his ship and scan the remains of it. You send what little data of his ship that you have left to Starfleet headquarters to end the mission. And that brings me back to when I was your age. For the most part, besides the obvious, there were no voice actors and there were no cutscenes, I don't have really much to say for this particular mission. It always made me really angry when it came to finding out that the person you were escorting turned out to be a member of Species 8472 who was trying to infiltrate every single level of government to control everything, to create some sort of giant war like another mission coming up in the Romulan series. Don't worry, I'll get to that later. I guess the only thing that I can really say is this particular object at the top of this path. Does it look familiar at all? Any hands? Show of hands anywhere? Here, let me paint you a picture. Ah, yes. Now I bet it rings a bell. That's pretty much the end of the mission. See you next time where we play a few uneventful missions. They're very short and they look almost the same. Terribly sorry about that, but that's the name of the game. Until next time, see you later.